Hi guys, sorry for the delay. Yesterday got a bit wonky. Had stuff to do, family stuff, so it was a good day, but I just didn't have any time to do a video. And then things kind of went crazy yesterday on the YouTube with Alex Jones being on the second time, Joe Rogan. Now, if you, the viewer, or friends or colleagues have issue with Alex Jones, you may not like this video, but at least try to listen to what I'm saying. And there's other news that I'm going to talk about too. Um, so Joe Rogan on consecutive days has butted up against the UFO topic yet again. Uh, the first time was with the comedian Dave Foley and the other gentleman, a Canadian comedian. I don't recall his name, but they were talking about UFOs and how Dave Foley has become obsessed with them, and he just feels the preponderance of evidence is all. I mean, there's tons of evidence to point in the direction that this is really going on, which was exciting for me, a researcher, maybe even for you as a viewer or a fellow colleague or researcher. It was exciting for you too. And he talked about like Rendlesham and kept talking about this F-16 case. And I'm like, what are you talking about? The Belgian wave? And it turns out he was talking about the Nimitz encounter, the Tic Tac. So while they were still doing the podcast, I tweeted at him and went to bed and didn't think anything of it. I wasn't going to get a response. The guy's got like 125,000 followers on Twitter. And I thought, I'll at least tweet at him and maybe he'll respond, maybe not. So I tweeted at him saying that, hey, if you're into that topic and into military witnesses with that case, then check out Dave Beatty's documentary, The Nimitz Encounters. And he said he would check it out. I don't know whether he really did or not. I know some other Twitter users had kind of tweeted at Dave Foley and said they thought that Joe Rogan was disingenuous for really looking at the UFO topic and subject because he had said he looked into it pretty deep, but yet he didn't know the case Rendlesham, which I can believe, sort of, kind of. I'm not gonna like hate on the guy for not knowing that case. Maybe he didn't know about it. I mean, it is a huge case, but nevertheless, they talked about it, and I know more people have reached out to Dave Foley via Twitter. Hopefully, that begins a dialogue, at least with him. That's what we need, is a dialogue, engaging these people. It doesn't have to be even celebrities. Maybe academic tweets out just whatever about UFOs, and we need to not so much pounce on that, but we need to be reactive to that. So uh, then I believe it's the next. I think it was the next. No, not the next day, but 2 days later, Joe Rogan has Alex Jones back, and these are my takeaways from watching. I watched about 2.5 hours before I tapped out. Not because I didn't want to keep watching it, because I had family stuff to do yesterday, and I caught the rest of it. They went for 4 hours and 40 minutes. Pretty big, long segment of time. I don't have that much time to devote to watch in live time. Maybe later on, and I did this morning, I watched the last hour and a half. But some takeaways that I find for myself interesting and just poses more questions. And this is where I ask you, the viewer, what did you take away? I know some people are going to say, oh, he was just crazy. He was talking about aliens, blah, 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 blah. And really, he did the Sandy Hook thing, so we shouldn't even talk about Alex Jones. I disagree. And I'll share why right now. So the first thing that perked up for me watching it in live time yesterday during the 2.5 hours that I watched was when he mentioned in detail about people who are highly psychic and or in tune with this phenomenon, and they have antennas. Now, I don't know how to link stuff on YouTube just yet. I'll learn at some point. Just know that there is a video that I liked on my YouTube page that you'll be able to look at my liked videos, and one of them is the video that I'm talking. It's a clip of Alex Jones talking about that antennas. He talked about people having antennas, highly psychic people having antennas, communicating with this phenomenon. Now, he said interdimensionally. I don't know what to think of that. I highly doubt that he read Diana Pazalka's book. I don't think that's the case. Now, could he have had people at InfoWars, those team of researchers there, do that? Maybe. But again, I think it's such a new thing. I don't know. I don't know where that was coming from and where he's gotten that from. The second part, there was a segment when he was talking about the breakaway civilization, which I'll get to in a second, where he almost in real time, just you could see Stephen Greer coming through, where he talks about the Greys are not really extraterrestrial, they're androids and they're pre-programmed, and this breakaway civilization or breakaway government has the capability of doing that. He sounds just like Stephen Greer when he's talking about that. And he talks about during that podcast, I was like, holy shit, like, wow, you either are wanting to recoup some of your lost audience, and I'll get to that expanded thought later on, or somehow, some way he has come across this. I don't know. Full disclosure, and this will really piss people off, and I don't care. If you think this is a problem and you don't like what I'm about to say, then you just need to check yourself a little bit, because it doesn't mean I'm a bad person. For a 3-year span in my life, from 2011 to fall of 2014, yes, I watched Alex Jones, or I would listen to his radio show. Full disclosure, okay? But after the whole Ebola thing, I kind of checked out on Alex because it had jumped the shark for me, okay? So 3 years, in that time that I watched and listened to Alex Jones, I never heard him talk about UFOs or aliens or anything like that. Never once. He did mention a few times about talking about a secret space program. He never had any UFO researchers on his program. So that's a bit wonky for me. I don't know where that's coming from. Possibly he's trying to grab part of that UFO group, like the UFO community, into liking his show, maybe. I don't know, because I know since he's been deplatformed everywhere, he's kind of hurting right now. So maybe he wants to gather a new audience. I don't know. That's just my thought. I don't know. Maybe you'll say differently. The other part that I found very interesting, and it was Joe Rogan and Alex Jones talking about it, was when Joe Rogan mentioned Starfish Prime, Operation Starfish Prime, and how we blew up nukes in the atmosphere. You know who else talked about that at length? Was Tom DeLonge on the Jimmy Church radio show a couple years back. Now, these three things that I just mentioned, as a whole, have my ears perked up. Like, what's going on? Why is Alex Jones pivoting now to aliens? Now, he says interdimensional. I find that very interesting from his research. Now, again, the only connection that I have found that I know of is he's had Catherine Austin Fitz on his show. She has a relationship, a working relationship, or did, with Richard Dolan, who coined the term breakaway civilization. To my knowledge, Richard Dolan has never appeared on the Alex Jones program. So again, is that coming from Catherine Austin Fitz? I don't know. Does Alex Jones have a team that is now pivoting to we need to recoup our losses and we need to grab as many conspiracy UFO people as possible? I don't know. Another thing that Eddie Bravo brought up that is a real thing, that is not being talked about, and maybe not even in the UFO community, is that in the conspiracy world on YouTube, their videos are being demonetized or being put lower in the search results. But UFO videos, they're fine. If you talk about liberty and freedom, forget about it. And I'm probably getting flagged for this, for just even mentioning this. But videos about UFOs, no problem. Actually, I know a couple of YouTubers who are into conspiracy space have made videos about why is it we can talk about this, but we can't talk about 9/11 or MK Ultra or other topics. I find it very interesting. And Eddie Bravo mentioned this. Now, there was a lot of news yesterday. So you had the 4.5 hour long Joe Rogan podcast, and then you had later that night, you had George Knapp's interview with Harry Reid. And this was talking about the Dirts paper, but the specific paper that they talked about in that interview was about the human effects, the field effects of this phenomenon to humans. I find that very interesting because then they segue to Hal Puthoff. He's not the one who wrote that paper. Dr. Christopher Kit Green wrote that paper from Wayne State here right in Detroit. I will say that I find that very interesting, why they honed in on that one. And then they cut to Hal Puthoff in the piece talking earlier this summer at a convention in Las Vegas, talking about showing a slide of effects. Now, I would love to see that slide. I probably have to go on YouTube and search for that video, but I want to know what are some things that were affected. For full disclosure, John Burroughs is one of those people that they've been testing with the field effects of this phenomenon. Now, full disclosure, again, I keep saying this and people are like, oh. So, as you know, I suffer from a neuromuscular skeleton disorder syndrome. It's a syndrome, Klippel syndrome. I've often wondered if these guys had a hand in my situation, knowing that people like John Burroughs, Jim Peniston, Larry Warren, I know people are going to be like, triggered, all right? Just forget that. But they all suffered ailments from those 3 nights from these things, right? Whether it be vision, heart, other issues. I find it very interesting that the government, U.S. government, a segment of the government was studying this and or has done different things with this. I've never shared this with anybody other than one experiencer that I will not get into. And if you, the viewer or listener, don't believe me, that's fine. I don't care. I'll just say, because I had interaction with this, and because of my situation, my health situation deteriorating this winter, Dr. Gary Nolan reached out to me via Twitter, DM, not for everybody to see. Only maybe 2 people, I take it back, only 2 people know about this. And I'm going to not get into who knows. But only 2 people knew of this, not even my wife. And Dr. Gary Nolan offered a ton of resources for me. Now, I declined them all for a number of different reasons. One is I don't like to bug people or put people in a position where they have to make things happen. I'm just a regular guy. I'm a nobody. Okay. I'm not even a YouTuber. Yes, I have a YouTube channel, but I just do this kind of just to get my thoughts out to you people. I'm not looking for recognition. If anything, I want nothing to do with this topic, really, to be honest, because it's kind of turned my life upside down. It's not been easy. So, he offered a number of different resources, number of different people to help me figure out what was going on. I politely declined and said, thank you, but no thank you. I have a neurologist. We're working out the problem. We went back and forth a couple different times. I'm just not going to use him to, I guess, help out my situation because he's a busy guy. We're all busy. We all have lives. We all have children or may not have children, but we at least have lives. And I don't want to interrupt anybody or inconvenience anybody. And I'm not saying this to get notoriety. That's the friggin' truth. If you don't believe me, maybe later on I'll share those messages. But just know that this DIRD's paper, this one that has not come out public, we have not read what the field effects are. Just know that this is a real thing. This is a real ongoing effort. I don't necessarily think that the Kit Green Nolan study is having anything to do with DIRDs. Do I think they kind of possibly studied people from that? Possibly, maybe. It is interesting. I don't know whether this had an effect on my situation, my health situation, but I find it very interesting. So with that said, here's my 17-minute video here. Hopefully I didn't piss anybody off too much. Hopefully you just come at this from an open mind, or at least understand that I'm not perfect. I'm just sharing stuff with you. So those are my thoughts as to what has taken place over the last couple of days. Yeah, I don't have anything more for you. I may do a live stream later today, barring on what I can get done. But if not, thank you for liking, subscribing, commenting. I appreciate all the stuff I get from you guys, whether it be here, Twitter, Facebook, even Instagram, that I don't really use that much anymore. I appreciate all of you, and thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. Peace out.